Okay, so I just think that age is nothing but a number, really.
Singleness is not well defined. Aloneness is taken for loneliness.
You need to be whole in yourself, to be able to effectively marry somebody else.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the Family Life Podcast, where we tackle real life issues that transform you, your relationship, and your family. My name is Ebunlomo Fawole, and today we'll be treating an interesting topic: why singles should remain single. How did that sound? Why singles should remain single? So if people are not ready to get married, I think it is just better not to go into marriage. And these are the things we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about the wrong reasons why people go into marriage, and the reason why, and the things they need to do before going into marriage. You know what? When singleness is not well defined, aloneness is taken for loneliness. And these are part of the things we're going to be talking about. Thank you very much. And as you can see, we have an interesting topic. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Like I mentioned the other time, we are discussing why singles should remain single. And with me on this show, on this episode, to have this interesting conversation is Oluwatobiloba, Olumide-Ajayi, and Chijioke Moses. Thank you very much for joining this conversation and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you for having us.
Okay, so let's start. We are having this conversation, why singles should remain single. What does that topic bring to mind?
So it was very funny when I heard that topic. I'm like, why should singles remain single? Singles should actually get married because marriage is actually a beautiful thing. But really, I also believe that you have no business getting married if you are not ready for marriage. Marriage is a lot. There's a lot. Marriage can be beautiful, sweet, and everything, but marriage can also be complicated. Two people coming together from different backgrounds, different values, system, belief system, and all. So you have to really be ready for marriage. You have to be ready to put in all the work to make it work. So if you are not ready, then please remain single. Right.
Interesting. Chijioke, from the male perspective, what do you think?
Of course. If you're not ready for marriage, remain single. There's a whole lot of joy, in being single. Because the kind of society we live in, people see people who are married, single see people who are married, and it's just to them, and of course because of movies, what they see in the movies, Hollywood and all of that, they think marriage is one, is the highest achievement in life. And so you see a lot of young people, young boys and girls, doing everything they can to just, have a spouse and then get into it. And then because of the desire to be married, a lot of them, struggle through their singleness. They struggle through it. They find it hard, enjoying that season of their lives because of marriage. And then the funny thing is that when some of them get into marriage unprepared, they start having regrets and they want to become single again. So what we're going to be doing here today in this short time is to just make singles who are watching this see why they should enjoy their singleness, why they should take their time to prepare for marriage, and then get into it and enjoy it, live their lives happily ever after.
Thank you very much, Chijioke. That's funny. Tobiloba, so he's saying something about young girls, young boys. Is there an age for singleness, or what does single means? What does it mean to be single? Do you have an age range to it? Is there a specific age where people should?
Pick it up. Yeah.
Okay, so I just think that age is nothing but a number, really. When it comes to marriage, it's not like a certain age, because there's a way we put ourselves under pressure because we are getting to a certain age. Like for women, 30 is like the cutoff mark. If you have not gotten married by 30, there's a problem. But I think that as long as there are a lot of things that you should check. The maturity and all. So age is not really what defines how mature you are emotionally, and in any other aspect. So age should be secondary. Of course, I'm not saying that a teenager should go and get married, but as long as maybe like over 20, but it could be 30, it could be 40. just be ready, emotionally ready, spiritually ready, and
Financially
ready. That's important.
Very important.
Financially ready before
For it.
you get married. Yeah.
So talking about readiness, Chijioke, what does readiness mean to a man?
To a man, readiness is everything. You know, there are two words you use when you were introducing this topic. You talked about loneliness and aloneness. I think that for me, that's the cocoa of this conversation. That's the heart of it. Yeah, because so let's go to the Bible. I'm a Christian. I'm a pastor too. You know, yeah. So I'd always once in a while make reference to scriptures. You know, the Bible says, and God said that it was not good for the man to be alone. So Adam was not a lonely man; he was alone. Now, and there are a lot of things that happened to him at that point in his life. You know, and that's how it should be for every young man that wants to get married. You must be alone. You must be single. You must be whole in yourself. So for a man, it has to do with having a vision, knowing where you're going to, because you're going to be the head of your home. So you need to be able to on your own determine the kind of family you want to raise and how you're going to move your wife and your children there. So that's the first thing that defines readiness for a man. Vision, having a vision. And number two is you have to be financially ready for it, because marriage comes with a lot of responsibilities, right? So a man needs to just have something that he's doing. And you need to have defined the kind of life you want to, the kind of person you want to be, the kind of career path, the kind of business that you want to push on, all of that, define all of that. And then number three is you have to be emotionally ready for it, because marriage will try your emotions. There's nothing that tries it like tries emotions. It will try you, it will test you, it will push you to the wall. And you're going to get married to somebody who is from a different background. In FSC, we call it a different nation. And then you're coming from your own nation, two of you will meet. So you have to be emotionally ready to be able to lead. Leadership is about being emotionally put together. Okay, so a man has to be that. And of course, other areas like the social aspect and other things, those ones are also very important. But for me, I think that the three major things, and the spiritual aspect of it too, because for me, I feel a man, because you're going to be leading people, and you're like the pastor or the imam of your home, whatever religion that you practice. So you need to be spiritually equipped to be able to also raise people who can go on that journey with you. So for me, I think that's just the summary of readiness.
Thank you very much, Chijioke. So I am thinking from this perspective. Maybe this will cap it all up. That's everything you just listed, saying that you need to find yourself. If you know who you are, so that self-awareness is the basis. Because I discovered that even for that age of 26, 27 that our parents used to make noise that, oh, it's time to get married and all that, you discover that you have not even found yourself. And if we're going to be real with ourselves, you will know that age, by the time you get married, you have not found yourself. You now carried another person on your head that you now need to understand and find. And if you don't understand yourself, you're trying to understand another person. That, I believe that's where the chaos starts from. And that is the reason why they say that the few years in marriage is usually very
the first few years.
Very you fight and all that, because you don't, and you have your expectations are so high. Right? And so I think that understanding the difference between aloneness and loneliness starts from there. If you know yourself, you'll be able to understand that no, this is, because I'm alone does not mean I am lonely. Do you understand? So I think it's very important for every young adult that are not married, that are looking towards getting married or getting engaged, they need to understand that they need to find themselves. If you understand who you are, you know what you're able to handle, you know your capability. When you're alone in your room, you're comfortable with yourself. Right?
Yeah.
So that's a different thing, because you can also be in the midst of crowd.
You're not looking for completeness. Some people say when you marry,
the person completes me.
You're not looking for completeness. That's because when you start looking for completeness, it means that there's something wrong.
Missing.
There's something missing in you. So and then we have this missing rib. So that thing that needs to complete, make me whole. But no human being can complete you. At the end of the day, you need to be whole in yourself. to be able to effectively marry somebody else who's
You
also
need to
whole
be
in
whole
themselves.
in yourself. And that is very important. Tobiloba, do you think people understand this wholeness thing we are talking about? Do you want to talk about this wholeness thing we are talking about?
Yeah, so a lot of people really, like you said, don't understand what it means to be whole. So they just feel like people. So I think that people run their lives on autopilot. Just the way we just go with the flow. They really don't know what their life is all about, who they are. And the truth is that if you don't know who you are, you cannot even be all that. You cannot achieve your fullest potential. Right? So that wholeness is, like you mentioned, being self-aware. You need to really be self-aware. Who am I? What are my strengths and my weaknesses? What's my personality type? What is my love language? We always talk about love language in marriage. But if you don't even know your own, how can you teach a person to love you? I tell my clients, I'll say, sometimes when you're complaining about your husband or your wife and you're saying, oh, they don't love me, or probably they don't even know how to. It takes you teaching them how to
because
do it. Because you know who you are. But when you don't know, how do you even teach them? You just see that there are conflicts everywhere. You don't even know. There's chaos because you don't really know who you are. You have not gone over that. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? You are fighting over differences when those differences are actually complementing. You're complementing each other, which is helping your marriage. But you are feeling like, oh, this person is not doing this way. But when I'm strong in this area, you know that, okay, I will handle this while he or she handles that. So that wholeness. Yes, so another thing, I don't want to forget this, is healing is also part of wholeness. Healing. A lot of people are carrying trauma. Hurts, pains, up and down. And what happens when you get married? And that's why we are saying stay single. If you are not,
if you know that you are
not ready, because you'll be bleeding on the person that didn't cut you. You'll be bleeding on them, and that's already a problem.
And sorry, let me just cut in. You will know when you're not ready. The challenge that most times people deceive themselves. Because you just because you just want somebody, you just want somebody. If you're not whole, you will know that you're not whole, because you check the way you relate with people every day in your office, your siblings,
some people
your neighbors,
anger issues. A client actually told me that I must not get angry. My anger is not good at all. I can do this. So you know that you have an issue with anger, and you are not trying to find something what to do. I told him, I said, okay, so you are always angry. What if you go and kill somebody and you end up in jail because of anger? Don't you think that you should deal with it? So those are things that you first know the knowledge of it, then dealing with it. Going into therapy, and that's part of what we should be using our single years to do. Right? If you have to go into therapy to heal from whatever it is that you are carrying around, or any pain that you are nurturing from your parents, your upbringing, or wherever, or past relationships, you need to deal with that while you are single. So by the time you finish that, you know that you are whole. To a large extent.
Thank you very much, guys. You raised something now, that wholeness thing, talking about healing, talking about the baggages that we are all bringing from our backgrounds and our upbringing. And Chijioke said there's a tendency that we know. So we're going to stop now. We're going to go on a short break. When we come back, we talk about healing. I hope you guys are enjoying yourself. Thank you very much for watching. Welcome back. Thank you, Toby and Chijioke, for that amazing session. So we are talking about why singles should remain single. And my guest had mentioned and said a lot of things around this. And we ended it on finding yourself. That you need to find yourself before you find a partner. Otherwise, you will be bleeding on your partner. And so right now, I want us to emphasize and talk more about finding yourself, because it is very important. When I started, I said when singleness is not well defined, aloneness is taken for loneliness. And you that uncomfortability, that restlessness, that need, like Chijioke said, the need to find compliment. If you're not whole, you find yourself in that space. And so we're talking about, and Tobiloba started something about healing. The truth of the matter is, every one of us are coming from a battered background.
Yeah. Somehow.
And we don't pay attention to it, because this is the reason why marriages break. And that's why we're saying, if you are a single, just remain single. You don't know. Oh, if only you know that it's a lot to be in a relationship with another person. It's not a boyfriend-girlfriend thing.
It will test your wholeness, marriage.
Yes.
It will test it.
And this is what we need to... It's not because I have graduated and so I'm qualified.
This is the next box to tick.
This is the next box to
Yes.
tick. It's more than that.
It's more than that.
It is more than that. You need to find yourself. Heal. So this healing we are talking about, Tobiloba, do you want to shed more light on it? When we say healing, you're coming with baggage from your upbringing, significant emotional experiences of life, and the environment that raised you.
Yeah.
And you're going to merge with somebody else coming with all those baggages if care is not taken. So what do you have to say about this healing thing we're talking about?
Yes, so I think that a lot of people don't actually know that they need healing. They feel like they are all right. I have a friend that is always saying that we are okay, we turned out okay.
Yes.
Our parents beat us, they did all this, but we are still okay. I said, are you really okay?
Are you really okay?
Are you really okay? Because when we are saying we are okay, let us look at the statistics. Let us even look at who we are as a nation, if we are even talking about this nation. You know that we didn't turn out okay. And so, yes, there are baggages. Everybody, we all have our own, one way or the other. Some people, it might be mild. It varies in intensity. But the truth is that there's something we all need to heal from. Some people have learned, some people have healed from, their own, and they are doing well. But everybody has something they need to heal from. So you need to really check your patterns. You need to check your patterns. But what are my results in this area? Why am I having this result? What are these patterns? Why is this cycle? Why is this always happening? So you know that, okay, there might be something underneath that needs to be treated. So it's when you now realize this that you try to find healing. How can you find healing? Maybe you have to check yourself into therapy. You have to, talk to a professional, a mentor, or somebody, that can help you, or start to read books. And you just have to find a way of getting over what it is that is affecting you. And it could be, like you have said, significant emotional experiences that we have had in the past. It has a way of affecting us. Trauma. Somebody was telling me that a lady died. She lost her son and she never got over it, and she died recently, and she lost her son in a terrible way. And so sometimes we might feel like this person has moved on, and everybody feels like she's okay, life goes on. But inside there are still things that needs to be fixed. And that's how a lot of us are. We feel like we are over it, whatever has happened. Maybe it was violence in our childhood. Maybe it was our parents, their own, home, marriage or stuff, whatever it is. We might feel like it didn't affect me. But when you check the patterns in your own life, or some things going on in your own life,
your relationship with other people,
yes,
you should be able to,
because like I said, these things are not. It's not some mysterious thing. It shows up every day in your life. The way you deal with people in the office, the way you deal with your neighborhood, the way you relate to people. So you check. Once you have your threshold for endurance is so low. You can't carry that kind of attitude into marriage. It will destroy your home. It will destroy that marriage. You know that. And, I was going to say that body, they cover a lot of things. This is our body.
You look fine on the outside.
They look fine on the outside. They look on the inside.
You don't know that bag of trouble
is going on.
Exactly.
Moving
so
on the
when
streets.
we even encourage singles to stay single, it is so that you can even totally, help yourself discover what's the most important things you need in a spouse. Because sometimes we're just carried away with the looks and the maybe person's financial status and
The outward.
all manner of things.
Yeah.
So, but in your singleness, you're able to define, you're able to define what you want in a spouse. And then when you meet people, you don't. And then another thing we even talk about is people that rush into marriage. So you meet someone, for example, and two of you are, instead of taking your time to, date for a while, court for a while, and sometimes even about the length of the courtship is about what you're even doing
During that
during
courtship.
courtship. Because that's another thing. So a lot of young people who are probably courting or dating during courtship or during that dating time, instead of discovering who they are, finding out their weaknesses, going for therapy, reading books, just finding a way to help each other discover wholeness and aloneness before they get married. They spend all their courtship or dating time hanging out, going to the movies, just enjoying it. And then you talked about someone that got married. I think you talked about it a few minutes ago. Someone that got married and the person thought he or she was fine, and then came in and realized that you were not really fine. So is when you are courting or dating that you discover that there's this person, or this is what is wrong with me. These are the issues I have. These are some of the things wrong with my personality, and then you go seek for help. So what I'm trying to say in essence is there's no need rushing into this thing called marriage. There's no need. And another thing I'd like to say is no, nobody's even saying that you need to be totally fine before you. But
no
just be on that journey. Let it be that you are on that journey, that you are growing, you're getting better, and so you know that these are the little things you need to deal with. And then when you come in, you are able to continue on that growth journey, and you'll be fine.
Thank you very much, Chijioke and Oluwatobiloba. It's so interesting that this conversation, I tell people, just like Chijioke was saying, I tell people that if you were to date you, will you date you? Looking at who you are, with your anger, with your sweetness, with everything, if you see yourself on the shelf,
will you pick you?
Will you pick you to date you? And so this is what we're saying, that everyone should find themselves, work on yourself, be happy with yourself before you go and attach yourself to another person who also has his or her own trouble, because that person that you think is making you happy at that moment can make you very sad at the end of the day. So you need to. So this is why we're saying, when you hear the topic, let single remain single, it's because we know that there is more to being married. And if you know you don't have the capacity to bear it, don't go into it. Some of us will say, oh, I'm lonely. This, that. It's beyond loneliness. It's beyond being lonely. Because you're alone does not mean you should be lonely. So if you're alone and lonely, then there is a problem somewhere. Because you need to be enough for yourself. It is enoughness. Okay. It is out of it that you can share with people. Because there's so much in it. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say that one of the challenges with people rushing into marriage is pressure, right? Society, in a place like Nigeria, for example, the pressure is too much here.
Social media pressure, parental pressure.
So when we started this conversation, we're talking about age, for example. There's no age appropriate time for this thing. But I mean, of course, there are no-nos when it comes to a teenager should not get married and all of that. But anybody, you can, whatever, after your teenage age, whenever you think you're ready, you should. But here in Africa, they will not allow you. You are 22, 23 as a lady. Sure, I remember when we were growing up, I had this family friend of ours. The mom came one day and told the daughters, all of you in this house, I'm giving you till 25. Any of you that stays here after 25, you can't, not this house.
Can you imagine?
And I know a couple of them that made, about 4 or 5 girls, 2 of them got it right. The other 3, they are currently going through a whole lot.
Wow.
But one of them is in counseling with me right now, because of, and it was that thing. And I remember that I had to refer back to it. She said, that was not. So by the time we drilled and realized that was actually why she was that,
from.
Yeah, so the pressure. So we want to ask African parents and African people.
Africa.
Africans. People should leave us alone. Help us. Help our young people. Okay, leave them.
Let the singles breathe.
Let the singles breathe. Let them breathe. Okay, and social media people that used to pepper people, come put pictures. Of course, I'm not saying you should. I share my pictures of my own, but no, you should. That's why we're talking about being whole. Because if you're whole, those things will move you.
It won't move
And
you.
and of course, one of the signs of wholeness is, patience. You are patient enough to wait for things to happen when it's time. So wait for it. When it's time, you get married, you share all the pictures, do all the things you want to do, and pepper people too with your own.
You want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that one of the things you also need to get right as a single person is to have a clear vision for your life. Because if you don't know where you're going, getting another person on board, both of you will be going the wrong path. So that vision is very, very important, because when you know where you're going, both of you will be able to align your vision and go, in the right direction. And I believe that it is very, very important, and that's part of wholeness. Knowing your purpose, knowing who you are, knowing your vision. So that will inform your choice of a right partner, because you cannot be going to Abuja and go and pick somebody going to Kutuwenji.
Yes.
Or wherever.
And the challenge with that is, and for me, I think is one of the most whenever I think of it, it scares me when you've not discovered yourself, and then in the middle of marriage you now discover who you are. Sometimes it's hard to even, because so for example,
you want to go
some I know some people who are pastors today. I know pastors that are having troubles in their marriage. Why? Because they didn't know that they had
The
calling
calling for ministry before
and
they
their
got
wives
married.
or husbands are now
You
like,
get, so you now, and then the
this
woman you
can't
got married
work.
to had said that she doesn't want to have anything to do with a pastor. And when she met you, you're not a pastor, you're a businessman. And now,
shifted
5 years inside the marriage,
you've shifted the post.
you're not telling her that, babe, I sense a call upon my life. And now there's Gbagbo's in the house. Why? Because the woman, and then you're now going to tell her that she's
a devil.
She's a devil, that
Devil is
she's
using
against
her.
God's call upon. But no, she's not a devil. You didn't tell
You were
her
the
from
one that
beginning.
shifted the post.
You shifted the post. So that's why it is what you just said is very profound. It is very, very important to discover. You might not entirely discover yourself, but at least have an idea of where you're going to. This is what you're going to be doing with the rest of your life. So that when you bring somebody to go on that journey with you, the person will be willing to. Don't bring someone that you told that you're going to the north, and then 5 years after you're on your way to the south. And the person
Even if you want to change the direction, you need that communication.
That alignment,
Yes.
yeah.
You need that alignment. Very important. You need to, but at that point, it's difficult to sit the other person down. And it is because of all these things we're talking about, the wholeness, understanding who you are, getting to that level of self-awareness, such that even if the other person now says, okay, we're not going in this direction again, we want to start going in this direction, that person is not threatened, because the person is, you understand when we're saying aloneness and loneliness, the person is whole. And so the expectations can be worked on at that stage. And that's why we talk about unrealistic expectations. It's been an amazing conversation this afternoon. We look forward to another episode where we'll be trashing and talking more. Chijioke started something, and so we'll be talking more around that next time. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
With this, we come to the end of this episode.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And thank you, Chijioke. I know you have enjoyed this conversation, and you really want to follow through to the end of this conversation. So I will advise you to subscribe to this channel, like, and share with your young ones and your loved ones. Thank you very much.